Hi, my name is Daisy, and this is the story of how Rachel, the bookkeeper of the community library and the preacher's daughter, turned me into, simply put, a lesbian. The first day Mum and I moved into the new neighborhood, I could already tell something was off. Not creepy off, but the kind of off where your body registers something your brain hasn't caught up with yet. The air smelled like wood and incense, like someone was baptizing furniture. If you've ever had one of those ahem sweaty, tangled, knees sliding off the bed kind of encounters, you'd know exactly what that scent does to your nervous system. Tingling, warm, dangerous. Mum, of course, ruined my revelation with her usual commentary. Smells like heaven, Daisy. Right, Mum. Heaven smells like after sex. Got it. We'd barely started unboxing. Translation: staring at the mountain of boxes and deciding which ones could wait until next year, when there was a knock on the door. I heard the neighbors here are very friendly, Mum said with a smile, like she was reading it off the back of a toothpaste box. I smiled back, dragged my feet toward the living room, and opened the door. And there she was. Rachel. She didn't just stand there. She happened to me. Perfect hazel green eyes, warm smile, freckles that looked like God sprinkled cinnamon across her cheeks, and short curly auburn hair that begged to be pulled. By who? I'll leave that unsaid. She wore a green spaghetti strap gown patterned with little red shapes, her slender arms bare and sinful. They looked like they'd feel like silk if I ever had the excuse, say, accidentally bumping into her while pretending to drop something. I swear I wasn't instantly attracted. I mean, I'm not that girl. But then she licked her bottom lip. A quick, subtle sweep of tongue that no one should have noticed, except I did. Suddenly my brain rebooted, and only then did I realize she'd been holding a bowl of fruits the whole time, fruits I had completely ignored in favor of her lips. Daisy, don't just stand there like a statue. Let her in, Mum called from the kitchen. I stepped aside, and Rachel walked in with the kind of casual ownership that screamed she'd been in this house before, in another lifetime. She placed the fruit bowl on the dining table and gave me this sheepish grin, like something about me amused her. It was almost predatory. Sweetly predatory. Hi, I'm Rachel, she finally said. Her voice was soft, like honey dripping off a spoon. My parents thought it decent to bring fruits for the new neighbors. They send their regards. Mum appeared, wiping her fingers with a napkin. That's so nice of you, Rachel. I'm Peyton, and this is my daughter, Daisy. Rachel nodded, but her hazel green eyes were glued to me, a little too long, a little too bold. That grin didn't leave her lips. Thanks for the fruits, honey, Mum continued, clearly delighted with our new angelic neighbor. Maybe Daisy and I will stop by later. Rachel just tilted her head, that grin spreading wider, like she knew something we didn't. She turned, walked toward the door, and tossed it over her shoulder. House 22. I followed to close the door behind her, but she paused on the porch, spun slightly, and hit me with a line that landed like a bullet. See you around, Daisy. And then she left, carrying that scent of wood, incense, and temptation with her. Mum warmed up to the Thompsons like she'd been auditioning for Best Supporting Neighbor in a bad sitcom. During our very first dinner at their house, she laughed at everything Pastor Jacob said, every half-baked anecdote, every recycled punchline. If he'd said the moon was made of cheese, she'd have choked on her casserole giggling. Martha, his wife, was a whole different creature. Calm. Collected. Maybe just clinically bored. She sat through dinner like a hostage with a polite smile plastered on, nodding on cue, sipping her water a little too often, hydrating her way through hell, and swaying in her chair like her body was physically begging to escape. Honestly, I vibed with her. Meanwhile, Mum and Pastor Jacob kept tossing jokes back and forth like they were in a tennis match no one else had tickets for. And Rachel? Oh, Rachel, choir practice Thompson. Apparently too busy rehearsing hymns to save me from small talk. I tried to look unbothered, but let's be honest. I was already plotting my Sunday outfit like it was battle armor. So when I finally saw her in church, it felt cinematic. She breezed in like she owned the place, sunlight pouring through the stained glass windows like God himself had cast her as the lead. She had friends swarming around her, of course. People like Rachel don't walk alone. But there was one girl in particular. I noticed. They laughed a lot, looked at each other a lot, touched a lot. Like unnecessary amounts of, oops, my hand grazed your arm, and, haha, let me slap your thigh contact. Normal people don't caress punchlines. And yes, maybe I watch too closely, but once you start tuning your radar to one person, everyone else fades into static. The worst part? I wasn't even jealous. Not exactly. More like curious. My brain kept replaying the way Rachel's fingers lingered on her friend's arm, and I caught myself wondering what that touch would feel like on my own skin. Warm? Electric? Would she smile after, with that same predatory sweetness she gave me at our door? And that was the exact moment I realized. I wasn't paying attention to the sermon. Not even a little. Jesus could have been resurrecting in real time at the altar, and all I'd have noticed was the curve of Rachel's smile when she leaned in to whisper into her friend's ear. Then came the bicycle riding incident. God bless Rachel, but she sucked at it. I don't mean, oops, I'm a little wobbly. I mean full-blown, tragic Bambi on ice energy. Pastor Jacob, in his infinite wisdom, begged me to help her out. And me, being a pushover with zero self-preservation skills, said yes. So there I was, holding the back of the bike like some nervous dad teaching his kid, while she clutched my arm with her left hand, as though I were her personal life jacket. "This is damn too hard," she groaned. "I should have learned when I was still a kid." I laughed, trying to sound encouraging. It's never too late. With the right techniques and practice, you'll be a pro in no time. Who knows? One day you'll be riding away, loving every bit of it. I actually felt proud of that line, like I just dropped a motivational poster into real life. But then Rachel, my Rachel, exploded into cackles. Not giggles. Cackles. Like a hen that had just discovered sarcasm. "What?" I demanded, half offended, half panicked. She tilted her head, eyes twinkling with mischief. "Did you hear yourself?" "No." "What did I say?" Her grin stretched wider, and she licked her bottom lip again. The lip, my nemesis. "I bet you'd really enjoy it, if you were taught the right techniques." And just like that, I was toast. She dismounted the bike, came closer with the kind of deliberate slowness that made every nerve in my body lean forward, like a fan in church heat. Then, with her thumb, she brushed against my cheek. Just a graze, nothing huge, except it sent a jolt straight down my spine. She started tracing slow, lazy circles on my skin, eyes locked on mine like she knew exactly what she was doing. "Why don't you ever come down to the library?" she whispered. Her breath smelled faintly of strawberries. Her lips were so close I could practically taste them, and I hated myself for noticing. I panicked, obviously, pulled back, mumbling, "You make me feel uncomfortable sometimes." Which was a lie. Uncomfortable? Number? Disturbed? Sure. Horny? Absolutely. Her smile faltered, just slightly. How? And that's when my brain hit the self-destruct button. "Are you a lesbian?" I blurted. Yep, straight up. No finesse, no diplomacy, just me, holding onto a bike and my sanity by the same thread. She chuckled, but it sounded forced, like the kind of laugh you use when your mom asks if you've been drinking. "What gave you that impression?" I crossed my arms. "You keep smiling unnecessarily. And I've seen the way you and what's her name from church touch each other. Don't act like I imagined it. Rachel raised a brow, looking at me like I'd just confessed to believing the earth is flat. It's not just that, I pushed on because clearly I hate myself. It's your aura. You just exude that energy. She looked down, chuckled dryly, then finally glanced back up with both eyebrows arched like sharp little daggers. I think I better get back home. And with that, she left me standing there, sweaty-palmed, bike still wobbling, wondering if I'd just rejected her, accused her, or accidentally flirted. Possibly all three. After the bike debacle, Rachel went distant. Like, Arctic distant. She didn't even bother with her usual predatory grin anymore. When we visited the Thompsons, she acted like I was invisible, just the preacher's daughter playing her role as the polite, boring neighbor. Same age, zero spark, like the before photo in a toothpaste ad. And at first, I thought I could handle it. I mean, it's not like I asked to be seduced via cheek stroking and strawberry breath, right? But the silence was worse than her mischief. I kept replaying it all, her laugh, her eyes, the way my stupid heart skipped like it was training for the Olympics every time I caught sight of her. It was pathetic. I wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping. Okay, I was eating, but like, dramatically. Sad bowls of cereal at midnight. Finally, I cracked. I couldn't take it anymore. So I did the unthinkable. I walked into a library, voluntarily, and not just any library, her library. Me, a sworn non-book person, suddenly storming into the land of paperbacks like I was storming the Bastille. The air was cool, earthy, underground, like secrets had been sealed into the walls. My sneakers squeaked embarrassingly on the tiled floor, and there she was. Rachel, perched behind the desk, flipping through a magazine like she was auditioning for Librarian Vogue. Our eyes met. For one hot second, she looked like a deer caught in the headlights, and then her face flushed red so fast it was like someone lit her up from the inside. She ducked her head back down into the magazine like I was Medusa. "Hi," I said, trying to sound casual, like I hadn't basically stalked her here. "Where's the novel section?" Rachel didn't even blink. She stood, stiff as a soldier, and started walking like her shoes were powered by rocket fuel. I scrambled to keep up. Take it easy," I muttered, half jogging behind her. "This isn't a race, you know." She stopped so suddenly, I almost rammed into her back. My hand shot out before my brain could stop it, fingers brushing against her arm. Warm. Too warm. "This is the novel section," she said flatly, eyes locked anywhere but on me. She turned like she was about to bolt back to her desk. "Wait." I grabbed her wrist, soft skin, pulse flickering under my fingers. For a second, it felt like electricity jumped between us. "Are you mad at me?" Her lips parted, but she didn't look at me. She just exhaled, slow and shaky, then gently slid her hand out of mine. "People could be staring," she whispered. "Do you know what they'd think if they saw us like this?" "They'd think we're lesbians." Her eyes finally flicked to mine, blazing with something between fear and challenge. Then her mouth curved, just a hint of that old mischievous smile. "And we don't want that now, do we?" And just like that, she left me standing there among the novels I would never read, skin still buzzing from her touch, stomach in freefall. I pretended to read for hours, though the truth was my eyes were skimming the same sentence like they were stuck on a loop. Every few minutes, I'd glance up, and every damn time, Rachel was looking up too. And then, of course, we'd both jerk our eyes away like guilty schoolkids. It became a rhythm, like breathing. Look up, lock eyes, panic, retreat. Over and over. Torture disguised as routine. The library thinned out as the hours passed, until it was just me, Rachel, and one stubborn boy sitting a few feet away who clearly didn't understand the universal language of leave. Third wheels are not welcome. He scribbled in his notebook, humming softly, oblivious. I prayed for divine intervention, or a fire alarm. Finally, blessedly, he packed his bag and left, the door creaking closed behind him. Relief washed over me, but before I could savor it, Rachel stood abruptly. She didn't look at me when she spoke, just directed her voice at the shelves. It's late. Library closes in 5 minutes. A pause, then with just the faintest bite in her tone. Not like you've been concentrating on that book anyway. I laughed, the sound bouncing too loud in the empty space. Rachel, don't be petty. That got her. Her head turned, hazel green eyes locking onto me with all the force of a spotlight. I have to lock up, she said, low and firm. I don't know what came over me, some demon of bad decisions, probably, but I got up, walked over, and placed my hand gently on her shoulder. My fingers trembled, but I didn't pull back. We really need to talk. Her body stilled under my touch. She let out a long sigh, then said, her voice tight with control, "You're touching me. I will soon begin to think you want something else from me. Something unholy." The way she said unholy sent a shiver straight through me. "Why are you breathing so hard?" I whispered, my voice softer than I meant, my lips closer to her ear than they had any right to be. "If we don't leave right now, I'm going to do something to you, something you know I'm fighting to control." "What if I say I don't want you to control it?" I teased. Her eyes flicked up to mine, wide, and then it happened. Rachel's lips crashed against mine, sudden and desperate, stealing my breath before I even thought to give it. Her hands gripped my waist, pulling me flush against her body. Heat bloomed everywhere we touched, my legs trembling, my heart hammering like I was free-falling. And then, just as quickly, she tore herself away. I stood stunned, dazed, like I'd been struck by lightning. My mouth still tingled, my chest rising and falling too fast. Rachel turned, fumbling with the stack of books on her desk, pretending nothing had happened. "Rachel," I breathed, her name slipping out like a plea. She froze. Slowly, she turned back, her expression unreadable. I nodded once, shaky, not even sure what I was agreeing to, but it was enough. In a single breath, she was on me again. This time, her kisses scattered everywhere. My mouth, my jaw, the edge of my throat, hot, frantic, full of a hunger I'd only dared to imagine in my dreams. Her breath came fast, ragged, matching mine. "Are you sure?" She whispered against my skin, her lips trembling as they hovered just over mine. I couldn't find words, so I nodded, dizzy with the weight of it. "Follow me," she murmured, her fingers fumbling at the zipper of my dress. A soft whimper escaped me before I could bite it back. She led me backward, pressing me gently against the shelves. The wood was cool on my spine, her body burning at my front. Her hands slid up my sides, down my thighs, lingering, exploring, all while her mouth never stopped tracing mine. "I haven't felt so attracted to a woman like I feel attracted to you," she whispered, her voice breaking with urgency. "Touching you like this feels so good." "Rachel." My sigh came out half breath, half confession, my entire body trembling beneath her touch. Then her body pressed harder into mine, the weight of her need trembling against my own. Her hands slid along my waist, tracing my shape like she'd been memorizing me all along in secret. Her lips moved urgently, devouring mine, then softening into slower kisses that made my knees weak. Her fingers toyed with the hem of my dress, dragging it upward inch by inch, the rough glide of fabric over my thighs, sending sparks racing through me. She broke from my mouth just long enough to whisper, breathless, "You taste better than I ever imagined." Her mouth trailed down my neck, leaving fire in its path, lips and tongue teasing until I gasped her name. Each sound from me only seemed to make her bolder. One of her hands slid lower, gripping my thigh, pulling it against her own until our bodies were tangled, the friction dizzying. The shelf behind me creaked with every shift, books pressing into my back as though the walls themselves were trying to keep our secret. My fingers buried in her curls, tugging her closer, refusing to let her pull away this time. Rachel's breath came fast and shallow against my skin. She kissed along my collarbone, her lips trembling with the urgency she tried so hard to hide. "I can't stop," she whispered, almost to herself, voice ragged. "I don't want to stop." And neither did I. My body leaned into hers, desperate, aching, each brush of her hands and lips unraveling me more than the last. By the time I stumbled through our front door, the house felt too quiet, too normal, like the walls were mocking me for what had just happened in the library. My skin still buzzed with the press of Rachel's hands, her lips, the weight of her body pinning me against the shelves. It felt too good to be real, too hot, too perfect. And yet, I felt stupid, dirty even. I didn't stop moving until I reached the bathroom upstairs, turning the tap full blast and letting the tub fill. I stripped quickly, my dress falling to the tiles in a heap, my body still humming with the ghost of her touch. Sliding into the water, the heat stung, but I welcomed it. Anything to drown out the sensation of her mouth on my skin. The way I'd let her undress me. The way I'd begged without words. I sank lower, water lapping at my collarbones. My head tipped back against the porcelain. My breath slowed, but not enough. My thoughts were everywhere, looping back to Rachel, pressing her forehead to mine, whispering like she'd waited her whole life just for me. I hated myself for shivering at the memory. "One time doesn't count," I muttered into the steam as though the bathroom tiles were taking confessions. "I'm not a lesbian. I can't be. It doesn't count." But my chest didn't believe me. A sharp pang bloomed there, a twisting ache that had nothing to do with guilt and everything to do with wanting her again. My body remembered in ways my mouth couldn't deny. I pressed a wet hand to my chest, heart pounding too hard, the dizziness washing over me like a tide. The room tilted, my skin flushed hot, then cold. The edges of my vision blurred, and for a terrifying moment, I thought I might slip under the water completely. Rachel's name burned at the back of my throat, but I bit it down, eyes squeezed shut, the sound stuck inside me. The days that followed blurred like a fever dream. Rachel wanted to see me more, every chance she got. In the library, in quiet corners of the neighborhood, anywhere we could steal a moment. She was completely smitten, and God, so was I. Her hands, her laugh, her breath at my ear. I was drowning in her, and I didn't even want to come up for air. But guilt has sharp claws. After another tangled night, our skins still slick with heat and our breaths uneven, I said it. The thing I'd been choking on for weeks. "We need to stop, Rachel. I don't want to become a lesbian." She froze, pulling back just enough to search my eyes. Her sigh was heavy, like it carried years of secrets. "You think I don't know how that feels?" Every day I play it out in my head, what it would be like to finally come out to my parents. And it terrifies me, but... Her voice cracked. "What do you mean you don't want to become a lesbian?" I swallowed, my chest tight. "We've been together a couple times now. And I don't even know if I like men at all anymore. Maybe I'm already one. And that thought, it just makes me so uncomfortable." Rachel stared at me, lips trembling. Then she let out the faintest laugh, the sound breaking at the edges. "Daisy, I don't think you become a lesbian just because of the act. It's not the mechanics. It's the longing, the pull. There are women who've never touched another woman, but they know exactly who they are because of how deep it runs. And there are people who try it once, or even more, and realize it isn't them at all. It's not the doing, it's the wanting. Her words gutted me. Honest. Sad. True. I let out a shaky laugh that wasn't really a laugh. Labels really suck. Rachel smiled weakly, brushing her thumb along my cheek. Yeah, they do. Hey, if you like the story, give it a thumbs up. It actually helps a lot. And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.